Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Hey, Pastor Norman.
Well, hey there. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Are you feeling better?
I am. Yes, this got a sore throat now.
Yeah, he's been under the weather, guys, just a little bit, but I'm glad to see he's bounced back.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Always, always. You can't keep me down. I'm like a weeble wobble.
can't keep a good man down. That's right.
That's it.
I'm glad you're doing better. So much better. What's your,
That's what they said about Dracula.
well, this is true. This
Every
is
time
true.
they put him in that, put him down, he come back again.
You
Yeah,
come back again. That's right.
Dad's eating a peanut butter cookie just when it's time to go live. So, mouth full. Your mouth full.
Mhm.
Yes, it is.
And you don't even have enough to share. That's one of my favorites. Peanut butter cookies.
I know.
Yeah,
He and baby girl
yeah.
love peanut butter cookies.
Great one.
You look like my granddaughter just a while ago was trying to give me pizza um
Oh,
through FaceTime.
I gotta get a swig. My mouth is dry.
Mhm.
Mm. And welcome everybody. Welcome to live class. It's my sister and my brother-in-law. Hope you guys had a good day at work
Yeah, I
today.
hope everybody's doing well.
Pastor Norman, of course, is here. And there's Dee Dee. Hey, Dee Dee. Hope you're doing okay. And Phyllis and Edward. Hey. And all of the rest of you guys that aren't yet commenting. I'm glad you're here. I got something I want to read today. I'm going to try to wait till some other people get on here, though, but because I think it's really, really beneficial. It's going to be beneficial for a bunch of people. You got something good on your plate today?
Well, I'm just working it out.
Working it out. That's
Work
been
it out, work it out, work it out.
Yeah, that's been really, really busy. He went to Sunday right after the live. He went to Pilot Mountain to a church service up there. One of our pastor friends who we've known for years. He went up there, and time he got there, they handed him a mic, of course.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna hit the door.
So he was in rare form. I'm pretty sure I didn't go with him, but he was in rare form. He's been feeling well enough to travel and do some stuff on his own, which is good. Yeah. But he was a little bit tired when he got back, and a little bit tired today, but he's been working on doing some woodworking projects today. So he's feeling much better. I'm so grateful. I am so, so, so grateful. And he's just trying to get rested up. And I've been kind of doing a little stuff in the garage and yeah, a little bit, but your voice is faded out. Can you talk a little louder? Can you talk a little louder? You don't know.
Wait for it. 1 month.
That's that peanut that's that peanut butter in his throat.
How you doing?
What did you preach on Sunday, Pastor Norman? I know
I
it's
was
something good.
I was sick. I didn't even make it to
Oh, that's
service.
right. Yes, that's right. You didn't
Yeah,
make.
I didn't have my broadcast nor
Oh, bless your
that's
heart. You
yeah.
were. I know you. I know you didn't feel good because you like the what is it like the
The ear-
mailman? Rain, sleet, or snow. You just like this one right here. If he can do it, he'll do it. If he can't do it, it's because he absolutely can't do it.
I had that stomach virus that been going around.
Oh yeah, and it is traveling. Hello,
Mhm.
Deb. Hello, David Singleton. I'm glad you guys are here. Yeah, it is. It's kind of going around some. Our friend in Pittsburgh said her dad just got put in the hospital because he's got it, and
Oh
she's got it,
wow.
and her whole family's got it. So I'm just praying that it stays away from us. And I'm glad you're feeling better, Pastor Norman.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I got something I want to read. I was hoping more people would pop in before I read it. Our friend Lisa Natoli, we met maybe 3-4 years ago when we did the Pure Presence conference. Oliver Blue is the one who introduced us to them, and they are long-standing teachers of the Course in Miracles. And she and her husband Bill Free uh, have been also studying non-duality and the oneness teachings as well. And she has had a remarkable enlightening, awakening experience, and she does a lot of speaking. Uh, she teaches the course, and also she has her own program that she does for healing. And her healing approach is totally different from what we in our circles are used to, Pastor Norman. Her approach is to deal with the mind and the mental, the thoughts around being sick and being ill. So I'm going to read this. She wrote this, and she sends us an email. We're on our email list. She sent this email regarding what's going on in our world today, which I thought was really befitting. We really need to hear it because there's so many things happening. So many people right now are experiencing traumatic and disruptive things that are happening all of a sudden. So what she wrote was, we read it, and it was, Baby read it first, and then he let me read it. But it was really, really beneficial. It's a little bit long, but I think when you hear it, it's going to really help you, because she talks about how to deal with what's going on in this world right now. And I think all of us can use a little help with that. I just recently, a young lady who is a young lady of color who had a news show as a commentator just lost her job she had for 9 years, and MSNBC fired her abruptly and replaced her and all of this stuff. So the whole issue of diversity, equity, and inclusion is now trickling down into a lot of people's personal lives. So I wanted to read this to you. I think it'll help all of us um, to just deal with what's going on right now. And her name is Lisa Natoli, and I'm really hoping other people will come in. But anyway, if they don't, we're just going to go forward with it. And this is how she writes. She says, if you are on social media, and she says, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, then I am sure you've noticed what I have noticed over the past several weeks. People over and over and over saying some version of, it's not fair, it's not right. They're giving evidence and proof how something is not fair and not right. Most specifically, people being fired from federal government jobs, and in the latest scenario, 1,000 people fired from the National Forest Park Service and given reason for their termination as poor performance, even though many of them have received excellent performance over the many years they have been there. It's not fair. It's not right. I'd like to share a different perspective. It will be a reminder to you, if you are on a spiritual path for any length of time, that what you see in the world is your point of viewing, where you are holding yourself in consciousness. Thought that was really interesting how she put that.
Mm-hmm.
Your own point of viewing, where you are holding yourself in consciousness. And this point of viewing, the point where you view yourself, others, and the world, can be changed and must be changed if happiness and peace is what you want. I put this in the Healing Cure, that's the name of her program. And changing my point of viewing was my whole way out of sickness, suffering, and struggling. My point of viewing for years was, this isn't fair and this isn't right. My thinking was, I am a good person, a generous person, always giving, always wanting to only do good, always giving to others, always inspiring and always encouraging. I'm always there for others. This is the I image I made of myself. Starting in childhood, my
Mhm.
self-concept.
That's good.
I think I'm going to read that just one more time. She said, my point of viewing for years was, this isn't fair. This isn't right. My thinking was, I am a good person, a generous person, always giving, always wanting to do only good, always giving to others, always inspiring and always encouraging. I'm always there for others. This is the I image I made of myself, starting in childhood, my self concept. And all of life is an invitation to wake up the self concept we made that we believe is I and me, and allow the concept to be dismantled, to disappear, to float away into the nothingness of what it is. Most of us won't do this until things get really bad. That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just interesting, it's really profound. For me, my wake-up call was years of sickness with physical symptoms and chronic pain. It's not fair, it's not right. I'm a good person. I only want to do good. I only want to love. And then she chuckles and she says, the personal self identity of Lisa, of whatever concept you have been holding about yourself, has a fit when awakening comes knocking at the door. In the Healing Cure, again, that's her program that she teaches, I call this a location. My location was to be a victim, feeling sorry for myself, suffering, struggling with thoughts like this isn't fair and it isn't right. What I was seeing in the world, sickness, pain, no energy, was the location where I was holding myself. Man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Woo! The personal identity of Lisa, of whatever concept you have been holding about yourself, has a fit when awakening comes knocking at the door. In the Healing Cure, and that's her program she teaches, I call this a location. My location was to be a victim, feeling sorry for myself, suffering, struggling with thoughts like this isn't fair, it isn't right. What I was seeing, I hear you crunching your peanut butter cookies.
That
Okay.
that means it's good.
I know. You're gonna have to go somewhere else. You're gonna be crunching like that. But she said, this isn't right, it isn't fair. What I was seeing in the world, sickness, pain, no energy, was the location where I was holding myself. I, consciousness, all the power in the universe, holding myself in the location of I'm sick, I'm dying, and this isn't right. Eventually, for all of us, we wake up to all this mind activity and move to the truth, which is that all is light, all is God, all is consciousness, and all is well. For me, I had to snap out of it. I had to snap out of the sick person location and remember that I am not weak, but strong. I am not powerless, but all powerful. I am not a body, but free. Two times in my life already, big things have happened that personally affected me that are very similar to what is occurring now in the world. In July 2000, I got the axe at my publishing job in New York City, a result of the dot-com bubble bursting. Fired without notice, I didn't see it coming, and escorted out of the building and locked out of email without a chance to take anything with me. I was there at that company for 10 years, the office darling with exceptional performance reviews. All of it disappeared in a day. So there was that. My dad also lost his house in 2010 to the housing and banking crisis situation that was going on at the time. He was always 2 months behind on his payment and could never catch up. He loved that house, spent 15 years pouring his love into it, restoring it, making everything beautiful. And after his wife passed of cancer in 2005, he was struggling to pay the mortgage. He was always trying to keep up, to remedy the situation, to work out the solution, to find more work. One day, out of nowhere, the mortgage company that he had been with just disappeared and no trace of them. Like out of a movie, things just disappeared. Then two people showed up at the house in suits, began threatening us, saying the house was owned by the bank now, and we had to leave. We moved out in March of 2011. I share this to say I have been there, and I had every right to say and think it's not fair and it's not right. And for a while, I did do that. For a while, I absolutely could not believe the things we were experiencing. I knew something was off in the way the banks were dealing with my dad and not dealing with him, and then his accounts disappearing where he couldn't even pay his mortgage anymore. He tried to pay and they wouldn't take the money. So it was like, what? This is the situation of the world in many instances: war, violence, rape, Hitler, Gaza, Russia, killing people for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You look at these situations and you go, what? How is this happening? Why is no one doing anything? It's not right. And you can either stay stuck in that, or you can come back to the truth of what you are. In my dad's house situation, we tried everything to call out fraud and not right because we knew something was fishy, but all the attempts went nowhere. And eventually the banks did admit to financial fraud schemes, found guilty in court, and made to pay $16 billion, but it was too late and no money went to my dad. At some point, he was offered like $10,000, but he wouldn't take it. So here are two cases of it's not fair and it's not right. And we could absolutely point to evidence and be right, but at what cost? My dad was constantly stressed and with an underlying rage all the time after that he kept under the surface, but all that rage and anger affected him. He lived in that energy. My awesome, loving, fun-loving dad, who was so generous and kind and good, spent the last 10 years of his life in anger and resentment. So here we are. You have a choice. You can stay in the blame game, crying, it's not fair and it's not right. Or you can consciously choose to change your location, to be in peace and joy and happiness. This is not sticking your head in the sand. This is an invitation to awakening and healing, where you use the circumstances and the situations of the world and your life to wake up to the truth of what you are. And then, if there is something to do, you find yourself doing it from and as a location of peace and joy. Like me writing this message to you, I'm writing it from a location of peace and clarity, that you may find hope and light where you are. That you realize you don't have to stay in the location where you find yourself in anger, worry, or fear. But like the prodigal son, you can come on home. Isn't that good?
Hmm. That's
Wow.
that's funny. I was talking about the prodigal son here today or yesterday. Wow,
Yes,
that is amazing.
yes, yes. So she's saying what we've been saying and attempting to say, and she said it so much more eloquently than I or or either of us could. And that is to keep your plane flying high, in spite of what your mind is predicting. And
Hmm.
in spite of what the news broadcasts are saying, and in spite of what the energy is that's pretty much overtaken this country, uh, you must go back to who you are and stay in that energy. You must. You must.
Exactly. And when I picked up from when you was reading that, kind of remind me when we have our discussions, when we say hello to individuals and ask them how they doing, they say I won't complain. And so we would say, of course, well, I'm glad you're not, because it doesn't work anyhow. And so
Mhm,
that kind of remind me of that, because we've been saying it with all that's going on. Of course, we all can embrace and allow it to affect us to the point that, like she mentioned, be having that victim mindset
mhm,
and say all those different things. But that's why I will always let people know that there's certain things that has to happen. So there's a lot of things that is out of our control, and so we cannot allow it to have a negative effect on us. We always have to believe that something good is going to come out of all of this, because it's all part of evolution. It's all part of transcending. It's all part of
mhm.
us transitioning in life. And so I love how she put that, 'cause that's where you can't be a victor if you always walk around with a victim mindset.
As a victim, yes,
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
and it
I,
doesn't.
I particularly honed in on the part where she used the chronic chaos, I'll say it like that, to cause her to find out who she was not. She said, uh, in the midst of that, she said, it's not fair, it's not right. I'm a good person. I
Mhm.
only want to do good. I only want to love. And then she realized that that personal self identity of Lisa, of that concept she was holding of herself, was having a fit while the awakening was happening to her.
And see, that's the second
Because
part of the
yeah,
prodigal son story, dealing
mhm,
with the oldest boy. Because
mhm,
see, it when you was reading that, that made me think about that. That's why I went to it real quick, where the oldest boy was saying to his father, okay, you threw a party for him and he went wayward and he spent all he had on
mhm.
harlots and all these different things. And I've been with you and I have not transgressed.
Yes,
That's
yes,
that part. I haven't done anything wrong. I
yes,
haven't sinned. But the father said to him, well, you were always here. You,
mhm,
all you had to do was ask. Or
mhm.
all of this is yours. And so he wasn't even conscious of the fact that everything that his father has, he also had access to,
Yes. And
but he
sometimes,
never saw
yeah,
it.
yeah. And sometimes it's not even a victim attitude, like you mentioned before. Sometimes it's, I don't deserve this attitude.
Exactly.
And that we don't realize a lot of times is a concept of ourselves that we're goody two shoes.
Hmm.
And that is a false concept.
Exactly. False identity.
So there's the giving up of that I image, as she called it, the I image. What is that image in your head of yourself that is actually phony? But because we believe it's who we are, we tend to think we don't deserve this. This shouldn't be happening to me. But all the while, what's being exposed is our arrogance.
hmm and I believe that's one of the things that we have been guilty of when it comes to, and I have to say it this way because I don't want to point any one religion out, but with the religious mindset that because of what we believe and because of our faith, it makes us more deserving of certain things
Mhm.
when we don't realize that. And Jesus said it best: the sun shines on the just and the unjust. The
Yes,
rain on the just and the unjust. So just because I of my faith and what I believe does not necessarily exempt me from certain things that I will encounter that
mhm,
may be to my ego unfavorable or
mhm,
uncomfortable
mhm.
or bring me to a place of suffering. And that's why we have to understand that that's not the real individuals that's dealing with that. That's one side of us that's suffering, but the real person who we actually are does not suffer.
It's right. It's beyond suffering. It's beyond the suffering. Yeah, I shared this on Sunday about what I called it Miracle Thursday because we had two spectacular things happening on Thursday. One of them of which my Chrysler, and I'm going to say it again for those who may not have heard it. My car has the shield underneath the front of it, weather shield, in order to protect the engine from all of the gook in the streets and the water and all of that stuff. And so that shield, because my car is built low in the front, had been damaged from running up on those cement things you have put in parking lots and what. I've run up on it several times. And so it was torn loose and we didn't realize it until we backed up and heard something rubbing. And so my husband looked underneath there and saw it was hanging down. So he said, well, I'm going to take it to the dealership to see. We tried to get someone else to fix it who comes and does stuff for us, but he wasn't available. So we took it to the dealership. At the dealership, this was during the snow, and so it wasn't very many people there, but he went ahead and braved it and took it down there. And when he did, Lenny, the service manager, told him that it was going to cost after with the parts and labor, it was
And inspection.
and inspection that I needed in order to get my registration done, it was going to be close to $500 worth of work. And so, short story, make it a short story. Actually, Lenny did not charge us. He didn't run the card that my husband gave him. He didn't run that through. He didn't pay anything. He didn't sign anything. He left the inspection report document laying in the seat along with the card, and there was no other receipt of any other work done. In fact, it was done free.
hmm
And
And
he said, Reb, you're good to go. I
yeah,
said, okay, I come out. I said, did you check the tires on the car to make sure they had plenty of oil in them? And he said, oil in the tires? I said, yeah, that's called air. I call it oil. And he put the air in the motor and oil in the tires. And I said, Lenny, appreciate it. And I got in the car and I saw the paper laying there with the card. I gave him a card and I said, Lenny,
get a
am I
receipt.
supposed to receive a receipt after you run the card through? He said, I didn't have to run the card through. And I said, you didn't? I caught on to it, so I didn't say no more. I wouldn't charge for the inspection or nothing.
And my immediate thought was, well, maybe the warranty paid for because we have a warranty, extended warranty on our cars, but it wasn't the extended warranty, and the warranty definitely would not have paid for the inspection.
That's right.
So, in essence, what happened was we were given $500 worth of work.
hmm
Now, I said that to say this, not so much to toot my horn and say I want to give a testimony of how God has blessed us. No, that's not why I said it. I said it because when my husband shared with me what happened after he got back home, I felt I felt humbled.
I did too.
I didn't I didn't feel like, oh, I'm special. God loves me more than anybody else. God's blessing me more. No, I felt very, very humbled. I felt humbled because I didn't deserve it as far as merit. If I got it on merit, it wasn't about that. Uh, so this thing that's happening to people in the country, I'm dealing again with this I image that we have of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The I, some people think through their self-concept, their I image, that I'm supposed to be blessed. I should have this. I deserve it. But that again is a false concept of ourselves. It, in fact, and I'm not trying to say that you should be walk around in a state of humility all the time. It's not, humility is not thinking a less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less.
Exactly. Exactly. Not thinking more highly than you ought to
Yeah,
think.
it's not thinking uh, less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less. And so it really humbled me.
I went to the barber
And
shop in Greensboro and I pulled up and this man was coming down on the right side of me on the sidewalk. And I looked at him and I knew he was a street person. And I started to get out the G with the cane. And as I did, he come around on my left side and he said, looked at it. The first thing you ought to be able to do is look at certain parts of people when they walk up to you or you walk up to them. And because you are in Christ to a certain degree of recognition, recognizing Him as being you, the I am self, and Him being the I am you, it'll cause you to be able to be more noticed in awareness of who is standing or you standing in front of somebody, looking at them, talking. Out of that, you'll also be able to understand and disperse with a person who they are without them knowing it. Now, when he came up to me, I didn't look at him as somebody trying to take something away from me because I knew who I was looking at before he got there. I knew what was in him without him knowing who was in him or who he was. And he said, "Look, man," he said, "I had a bicycle on the change, and he had a lock in his hand, a combination lock. Well, no, a lock for a key." He said he don't have the key, and a guy came by and after he lost the key, opened the key and stole his bicycle. And he didn't, I mean, anybody could have said that, that's a good way to get somebody to give you something. But I wasn't interested in whether he could or could not, or lying or not. I just knew that in his situation, I knew what I was automatically. See, when you find out that you are him and he is you, you don't wait for instructions to tell you when, what to do, and how to do, and how much to give, and all that stuff.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Because a lot of people, I've noticed, a lot of people won't give when they know in their heart they should give, but they won't do it because they don't feel like God is telling them to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And therefore they shut their bowels of compassion instead of going ahead and doing what they should do.
And he said, "Where dwelleth where dwelleth the will of God?" If that's so clear in front of you and you ignore it. So he said, "I haven't had anything to eat." And I looked at his hands. The first thing I noticed after his face, his clothes, and his hands. And I knew that he was in a bad situation. Can you give me something to buy something to eat? Now, I used to wouldn't do that unless I can take him somewhere and get it for him. And I gave up trying to get them to use the money
To control them.
to
Yes.
control them.
Mhm,
It's not my business.
mhm.
So I reached in my pocket, and I think I gave him, seemed like it was $25 or $50. But I do know I took it, I gave it to him, he walked out, and I said, wait, come back. I gave him $100 bill. And I think he liked to mess his britches up.
I bet he did. I bet he did.
And he liked his eyes. If he'd been wearing glasses, his eyes would have popped out and touched his glasses and probably knocked him off. He was astonished, and he was without word.
Well, what you just demonstrated was when Jesus healed the lepers.
Yeah.
I think it was 10 lepers. Is that right, Pastor Norman?
And only one came back.
And
Yeah.
only one came back to say thank you. And Jesus, knowing he probably knew they were not going to come back and say thank you, but he did not have. He was not trying to control what they would do with that he gave them.
I told him, I said, look, I am not giving you this because you're poor, because you're homeless, and because of what you told me took place. I said, you can do anything with it what you want to do. But I said, I give you this because I know who you are.
Mhm.
I'll tell people I know who they are, but I don't tell them who they are.
Exactly.
Because I wait for them to see it and let it be revealed by the unction of the Spirit.
You guys out there, I know you're listening. Let us know you're still listening. We haven't had any comments or anything, so I just want to make sure that you're still out there and what you think of what we're talking about. And for those of you who heard what I read about from Lisa Latole, kind of give me a little comment about that or some feedback, okay? Just to let me know you're still there.
I like going into a barbershop and somebody's there not waiting for a haircut and they don't know me. I'm not telling this to pat myself on the back. Besides, because I had shoulder replacement, I can't get my arm back there no way. But I like going in there and watching. I've tried that in the grocery store with guys standing behind me, and I say, pay for his food too. I will. And some of them are so.
Some people have so much pride that they won't
And
allow you to help.
He said, this guy said, I can pay my own food. I don't need you. I look at him and I say, yeah, but I want to give this. They still don't know how to receive it.
That's true. That's true.
And that is a heart-wrenching thing, not that you feel embarrassed. It's that you know that Christ is not that talking. Now, here's my point. Oh, do I see him and look upon his face.
Mm-hmm.
All the riches of glory. Oh, yes, his amazing grace. I just put that in there. I was coming out of the UPS place and I was standing in there talking to the manager about her Corsi dog.
Cane Corso.
Cane Corsi dog.
Cane Corso.
Corso. And this little girl was standing behind me. I don't know how I looked around, and Pastor Norman, when I looked around, I saw the Christ. I saw him in her face looking at me. I saw him. A gentle heart of Jesus did I see. The prize of every victorious athlete or victorious sports person was in her face. And I began to talk to her. I said, I see Christ the Lord in you looking at me. I said, he's in you. And I heard Reverend Mike say, walk up to any man and tell him that Christ is in him, whether he asks you or he receive him or not. First of all, the first place that he receive you is when he turn and look at you and you get ready to say to him, I see the Christ in you.
Mhm.
I like that. I love it. Now,
I still haven't gotten any comments from anybody, so I'm wondering if they're hearing us at all.
Well, I mean, y'all, we are on. Because I have my other
Right.
iPad. I've seen that we are
Okay.
actually on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good,
But
good, good, good.
I wanted to make a reference. Somebody just Renee just put this to it. Yeah. But I wanted to make reference to a state of enlightenment. Going back to when Dad took your card to be fixed or checked out, that I picked up when he was sharing it on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
When he stated that he went, but he did not have the money or the resources. I want to use that
Yeah, yeah,
resources.
yeah. Thank you
And
guys for letting me know.
the reason why it caught me was because he went anyhow with no thought of if he had or did not have the resources for the vehicle to be fixed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He even stated to some people that he when he was sitting there or whatever, and that blessed me because he went in a state of, I'm not ashamed that I don't have the resources, or what
Right.
am I going to do. He was just in a state of being, and he went
Yeah,
and
yeah,
hear the manifestation of the miracle, or what I would say the unexpected occurred
yes,
and
yes,
stuff. And
yes,
it was all because of that state that he was in, of total connectivity to everything.
yes,
So there
yes.
was no shame, there was no emotions involved, nothing, and that happened.
The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. It is it is the consciousness that is beyond. It is not a lack consciousness.
Hmm.
It's it and it's, a lot of things that Dad and I get done is done when we know we don't have the money.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, he's he's more proficient in jumping out into it than I am, but I've learned to try to kind of jump out into it and realize I don't have to live by fear.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's the opposite of a lack consciousness. Even when there's no money, there's still not the consciousness of lack. That makes
Exactly.
sense.
It makes sense, all because and that was several years ago, when I went back in the Psalms 23, it just really, that one part that you just said, the Lord is my shepherd, I
You
shall
shall
not
not want.
want. That became more of a statement that I will always say, no matter what. I will never be in want. Because if
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
if I'm in want, then I'm not walking in my true identity, my true self.
Yeah.
I'm not walking in my oneness or my connectivity to God Himself. If
Mhm.
I'm always in want, so that means if I'm in want, I'm walking in a separate mindset.
Yes, yes. And walking in, it's like a it's like I know that there is, how do I want to word it? I don't have the money, but I know if I'm to get this done, I'll have the money. That kind
Exactly.
of thing. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
Um, what do you
Exactly.
want to say about that?
I looked at the way this thing is unfolding when I was standing in the floor at Pastor Dodson Church up in Pilot Mountain
On Sunday, yeah.
Sunday. Yes, I told them who they were. I walked around the audience, and because I told them that the Lord showed me how to look in people's eyes and see Him. I went in the closet and I started saying, for 100 times, I said it. I see you. I know you. I know where you live. I know what you do. I counted 100 times I said that. Sometimes I pray in tongues and sometimes I don't. I said, I want to see you clearer. And after I say that, I forgive my mind and myself for not being able to see you. But I know now that I can see you in anything, in everybody, everywhere, without them confessing you, being saved. I know you. I know you. And I hear him now. I can see him now as I speak it. It is the most humbling experience to do that. The grace that is revealed to you that you are the grace eternal, the eternalness of God. And there's nothing else in this world like it.
Mm-hmm.
I found out that Christ, we are the presence of God at this very moment inside these bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We are the power of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We are the life living I am self, and we are his life living. We are his self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He and we are, now watch this. We are the Christ, oh glory. We are the Christ of each other's faith.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Christ of God's faith, which means I don't have to wrestle with believing with my mind. The mind does not believe that we are the Christ, because it is plagued with a condition and sickness that it is us doing all the thinking, seeing the future, looking at the past,
You're looking at
and
everything that's happening.
and that we are the one that's having these thoughts going over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Way back there before Columbus sailed, we still thinking about what it was like on the boat. Ah,
I want
that's not us doing
to
that.
right. I want to go back to something that Lisa Natoli said in the writing. If you don't mind, Pastor, I wanted to just mention it. She says her point of viewing for years was, this isn't fair, this isn't right. And then she says, my thinking was, I'm a good person, I'm a generous person, I'm always giving, I'm always wanting to do good, and I'm always giving to others, and I'm always inspiring others and always encouraging others, and I'm always there for others. So this is the view she had of herself.
Mhm.
Okay. And then she said, this is the I image. The I image. Type that in, the I image. Okay. This is the I image that I made of myself starting in childhood. This is my self concept. Now, see, this is where when awakening happens, this is the part that starts to be dismantled.
Mm-hmm.
This self-made image that we have of ourselves, it is when we begin to wake up, it immediately becomes vulnerable to attack and being dismantled. And she said this, she said, and then she realized that all of life is an invitation to wake up that self-concept that we made, that we believe is the I and the me,
Mm-hmm.
and allow that concept to be dismantled and to absolutely disappear. This is the person that we believed ourselves to be. That will be dismantled by all of the things that's happening right now, by all of the things that you're experiencing, by all of the things that you don't think is right and is fair. It's being dismantled by all of the things you think you should have had that you didn't get to keep, all of the things that you should have gotten that you didn't get. Now, I mean, all of that is the invitation of life that's bringing you to the place of dismantling that false image you've had of yourself. That image that you had of yourself of being a good person, of being fair, of being always there, and always being whatever that image is. That's what this is. That's what this is about.
Mhm.
And this is happening on a grand scale in America.
Mhm.
Grand scale. Americans are all of a sudden beginning to realize I'm not special.
When I saw the face of Jesus and it clicked inside of me that God is all and in all. There's no commas there.
That's it.
No separation. No division.
Yes.
No 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It is a us that we are, and we are the us that he is, and he is all us's. Now when I breathe, the life of Christ is who breathed. I didn't know that from the day of birth, Christ was in me.
And Christ was as
Well,
me.
hold on now. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Y'all don't understand this thing when I say this. I'm saying it, and you know what? Y'all talking about our image, our image.
I just told him to type that.
Let me kick you up to another notch. You are beyond an image.
Yes.
An image is like a mirage. It's like looking and seeing the reflection. You are beyond the reflection of Christ. You are actually him. Now be bold enough to say it to your Christ self now. Don't worry about, am I supposed to go tell everybody? No.
That's a part of the self-concept too. I'm supposed to tell everybody.
No, you're not.
No.
No. Your conversation to them that you see Christ in it, and see, it's women can't do that. The tactic has got to be a different way, because first thing a man will do or a woman to do is come up with something from the mind and ego that you're trying to be, say what the Bible says. You know, the Bible said, many shall come saying that they are the Christ. I don't have time for that kind of doo-doo. Okay? All I know is that when I come out the service station, I see somebody coming. The first thing I say, it's so good to see you. You sing like I know you. I talk, I let Christ, I talk to Christ. I talk him. And it is one of the most amazing experiences. If you guys would find some way. Well, I'm not going to tell it if I couldn't find in the Bible. Well, your bloomers ain't in the Bible. You still wear them. He told me the other night. Well, I got.
I was wondering where that concept come from.
I just get. It's a part of me that gets fed up with people trying to make Jesus Christ look like he's only in people that go to church and in people. This girl told me when I saw her in the place at the store, she told me that when I asked her, did she go to church? She said, no, I don't go to church. Her business don't give her time to go to church. I said to her a long time ago, I said, oh, you need to find you somewhere to meet up and get into church. I know now that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
But I even want to make reference to the statement when you said many, when they make the statement, many will come and say that they are the Christ. We have to understand in how they are saying what place they're saying that from. They're speaking about in the way of arrogancy or the ego, trying to make one special or more supreme than the other
That's
person.
right. That's right.
Whereas with you, you're looking, seeing it, and saying that from a place of awareness, of being on the same plane as the other individuals that you're seeing Christ in, or you're aware that again, it comes from oneness, total, universal connectivity, understanding that we all are connected, intertwined, or one, as we've been sharing over and over again. So when they're making reference to the person saying that in an area of arrogance, or they're special, or they're above or supreme everyone else, like, you know what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Chrysler place.
Yeah.
And I told one of the salesmen, I said, I want to talk to you a little bit. He said, well, what is it? I said, I got a beef against the Chrysler people. I said, what you mean? He said, what you mean? I said, I didn't realize this till I opened the hood up on my car. I found out that I don't have a Chrysler motor in my car. Somebody put a Chevrolet motor in my car. He said, what you mean? I said, well, I bought the car from you. And I said, ain't no Chevrolet motor back, no business in my Chrysler. And I said, I want to know how it got in there. He looked at me and turned red as the Santa Claus suit. Now, but he said, well, Mr. Sawyer, I'm sorry that you found it out. I ain't never heard of a Chevrolet motor being in a Chrysler. I said, when the last time you had a good butt whooping?
That's funny.
He looked at me right funny and said, what you mean? I said, I'm going to find out, and I'm going up to the front tower, and I'm going to ask them, why did you sell me a car with a Chevrolet motor in it? He said, well, Mr. Sawyer, I'm sorry. He's a young boy. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put a Chevrolet motor in your car when I sold it to you. I said, man, you all right. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You ain't no Chevrolet motor in there. But you know what? I had the biggest fun with messing with people, and sometimes I get cussed out. I said, that's all right. Let me tell you something. You can't cuss enough. I know of an old lady had dementia. She cussed in the morning, noon, and evening and night. She cussed so much that she wore herself out, go to bed, wake up, and start all over cussing again. Now that's what the old people say, that she was a cuss, wasn't she? Yes, she was. Hey, and you know what I found out? Christ is inside of that woman. You can't run. You know what? It's two things. You couldn't beat Jesus off you with a stick. You couldn't beat him off of you with an egg beater. You couldn't lie so much that people think you a carpet lying on the floor. You could be a big liar so strong that you let your dog out the door to go out and do what his thing is, and you call him and the dog stop and turn around and look at you and say, I don't believe him. He's the biggest liar in the world, calling me like that. I don't believe he's serious about that. You still ain't changed the mind of Christ. When you went to school at 6 years old, Christ was there. They didn't teach us that. Nobody's teaching you this. They won't teach you this in the church unless you come under the bureaucracies of the ordinance of the church that said, you got him now because you spoke in tongues. You got him now because you shouting. You got him now because you preaching. That ain't worth for fat babies. But look, let me tell you something. I'm telling you too. This Christ is God hid in you, the hope of glory. And the way I got all of this, I looked up the words infinite, eternal, omnipotence, and omnipresent. I looked up the definition of eternal life. It means one that cannot die and was never born. It ain't got nothing to do with your confession.
Exactly.
It has everything to do with you by insight and revelation. I found Jesus. No, he said, you didn't find me. I allowed you to discover me. Every
Hmm.
one of you out there, all of you haven't discovered this. My heart's desire and prayer is that you see it. And when you see it, you'll see Jesus everywhere. No, you're waiting for him in the sky. You're waiting for the big breakthrough. You're not saying God is with you unless you get a miracle or something. Well, the biggest miracle you're going to see after you practice this is he has always been the life of you
I
with
like
or without religion.
I like what Lisa Natoli said in her writing as well, when she said she had to snap out of the personal image
Hmm.
that she had of herself. And she called that location.
Hmm.
She had to locate herself, not as that she believed herself to be, but she had to remember who she was. And she said, I had to snap out of the sick person location and
Exactly.
remember that I am not weak,
That's
but
right.
strong.
That's,
I am
that's the
not
prodigal
powerful.
son. He had to snap out of it.
Yeah,
He had to
had to,
come to himself.
yeah,
He
had
was
to
in the wrong
snap out
location.
of it. Yeah, have to snap out of it. And she said, you can stay in that game. You can consciously choose, or you can consciously choose to change your location
Hmm.
to be in peace and joy and happiness. And that's the invitation. She calls it an invitation to awakening and healing.
Hmm.
You know why I don't ever have to get ready for something to preach? I don't prepare anything to preach anymore.
He
I
loved that. I
stopped
love
doing
that
it.
movie too.
Yeah.
I didn't have to. I
Yeah.
don't have to. Because
John
uh,
John's talking about the cocoon, the
Yeah, I
movie
love that. I love
Cocoon.
that movie. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to get ready for a sermon or preaching anymore. Never. I never have to. I
There's
might
a
look over some things, just the words.
yeah,
No,
there's a movie called Moonstruck that I love with Cher and
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, and
moonstruck.
yeah, it's called Moonstruck.
That
And
hammer in your head did that, didn't it?
she falls in they fall in love with one another, and she was engaged to his brother already, and she falls in love with him, and he tells her, I love you, I'm in love with you, and she smacks him and says, snap out of it, snap out of it. Some
But
of us need to be smacked so we can
She,
but
snap
see,
out.
some people don't like to be disrupted. They love the location that
Yeah,
they fallen in love where they are. So like when Dad was talking about when he mentioned to the lady about Christ and she just went off, that they don't want to be disturbed. They love where they are. They love their sleep. I'll put it that way. You
oh,
know,
glory. Did
some,
you hear that?
some
You
of
hear
us
that?
some of us are actually enjoying the feeling of being angry with the government,
exactly.
and we
Exactly.
won't let it go.
Yeah.
We're enjoying it.
But now you did this when he put up the movie Cocoon. And did you mention about the movie? Something I'm really watching and observing, and I've
Mm-hmm.
said it before, but it's becoming very much clearer. Even showing how everyone, if anybody can really see, we are all so connected until it
Mm-hmm.
is. It's I want to say wonderful.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
magnificent if we would come to that place. But I've noticed even in the different movies, the different shows that's coming out and has came out, it's as if these because it comes from a place of imagery, all right,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
going on in a person's
yeah,
mind, and
yeah.
now it's projected for us to quote unquote to be entertained by, but there's
Mm-hmm.
actually a lot of what they're projecting is actually becoming reality.
Yes,
And I'm seeing that and I'm like, wow, all these things that's currently coming and they're all along the same lines, making the same statement, and it's actually happening now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
And
share
so
something with you.
I always say it's as if Hollywood is more prophetic than the church.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would say
they're light
all
years
the time
ahead.
because they're
Yeah, they're
putting
light.
stuff
Yeah.
out that we're sitting there wanting to go and be entertained by, but you're not even reading between the lines. You're not even catching the
Yeah.
subliminal message or projection that's being sent out to us. And
Yes.
it's happening in our world today.
It is. It really
I'm
is.
I'm gonna speak this word to everybody that's listening, and this has a lot to do with our government, presidential office, and everything. These boys have not said anything about all the thousands of people that's been laid off of work. They have never said anything at all about the sufferings. If they have, I beg forgiveness if I said and it's not true. I haven't heard either one of them. I've been constantly watching them say anything about the fires of California, the people up in the Asheville Mountains who lost their homes, the flood and the hurricane. They shutting people down, the insurance companies and Medicare and Medicaid. After that, all the people that this has been shut down in their life, where they going to stay, where they going to get food. They said they want to make America great, but it's not being great at the expense of considering others. It's being great because they are of a reprobate mind, that is so self-centered. Jesus said, if you done it unto the least, then you done it unto him. They're making Christ suffer again in what they're doing. Yes, there need to be balances in the economy. There are people who can't go to the store and buy food, water, and milk for their kids, and schools that are shutting down and kids don't have food to eat. And yet all they are interested in is making America, I'll tell you what they're doing, turn America over to a communist country. And they don't have no insight at all. Somebody say they know what they're doing. All right. That even proves more of the reprobate mind. They know this. Two men are allowing this group of young boys to send letters to people on jobs without any notice and tell them that they are fired. Some are saying, you can't fire me, you can't hire me. You didn't hire me, so how can you fire me?
Mhm.
Power and authority has been used. United States is going down the drain in the hole. The United States is coming down to the lowest common, common number of dispersing an error over the country, of no grace of God in our government to cause yes, there are people there. Some of them are saying, well, they're letting some people go, and yet some of them are not because they want to find out what they've been doing on the job. And if they have been doing things right, they let them stay. If not, why didn't they start out like this instead of just sending notes out there? You fired, and all of a sudden you've been there 15, 20 years, and you got established. Yes, everybody done use money wrong and use the system, but you just don't jump up blatantly and just walk into somebody in surgery. Here's the doctor in surgery. He gonna get out of surgery and just go into the office and find out he's no longer needed in that hospital. These things that are going on are mystical things of the change of the world. Somebody said a long time ago that when our president get in the office, which is now, that he's going to expose everything. Well, I guess so. He's exposing himself. He's exposing his character. He's exposing his uh, selfishness for power.
And
Now,
that's what I was getting ready to say. Yep.
at the age that he is, he better chalk up his numbers and number them right, because this that is going on in these two men's faces and mouth is going to go out the front door and come back around the back. Only God knows, and bite them in the butt. You don't do people like this. I'm not trying to get on the soapbox with this thing. I'm telling you, the heart of Jesus Christ is in all those people that they're found, whether they go for the vote for them or not. You don't do that. Well, we're gonna find out in the end. And he's supposed to bring more wealth to the country. We're supposed to have all of this stuff that's coming up that was gonna better us. How can you better a man out in the boat fishing and you take a shotgun, shoot, trying to use a shotgun to go fishing and shoot a hole in the boat? That's ignorant than a fool and a wayfaring stranger. You can't do stuff like that and get by with it. Yeah. Oh, God put him there. God put him there. Okay, if he did, him and God, them and God both are gonna get their butt busted.
But the key to this whole thing is this. We see it, we see all of this happening, but I have to go back to the statement I've been saying over and over again. This has to happen. All right. Because it's obvious so many people are so aware that a lot of these decisions that are being made and what's going on is like, we'll say what she was saying, it's not right, it's not fair. But the thing is, there is nothing that's going to be done about it. Now I know, we know, because of human nature, there's going to be a lot of anger, there's going to be a lot of violence that's going to break out, there's going to be a lot of protesting or whatever, even to the point while all of a sudden now, and this is, and if people are not paying attention to this, that's why I know it's a supernatural thing that's happening in the whole entire atmosphere and universe. Why there all of a sudden out of nowhere all these major situations that's going on with airplanes? That's
Oh,
dealing,
sure.
that's dealing with the unstableness, not so much of somebody doing something wrong with the plane or this and that. That is showing the unstableness of the atmosphere, the frequency, mankind, our thinking. We are projecting all of this negativity, if I could use that word, into the atmosphere. So these things has to happen. So now, going back to a religious cliche that we will often use in the church, this too will pass.
That's right.
It's going to come to an end, but we it's not on our own energy or our self efforts or whatever. It will run its course, like a sickness, a virus that I had here recently. I had to let it run its course, and it's going to run its course. And whenever was ordained or planned to happen through all of this, it's going to come to an end, and we're going to see our Father in a big, big way. Believe me, I know without a shadow of a doubt, this is set up for a major not just a move, but a major manifestation of our Father.
And remember, yes, Pastor Norman, remember, this is not just political war. This is a paradigm shift.
Exactly.
And yes, there is what I call collateral damage. There's collateral damage. A lot of it, as a matter of fact, that I wish was not happening. But it is, in fact, a paradigm shift. And this shift must happen. As you said, it must happen. So there is nothing that we can do. We mentioned this on a couple of sessions back. The only thing we can do is allow the Holy Spirit to groan through us with utterings.
Exactly.
Grown through us, because we don't know how to pray as we ought, and we definitely don't know how to talk as we ought. Exactly. So that's the most that we can do. That's the most that we can do.
Can you put up what you always put up, Jeremiah 29 and 11?
Mm-hmm.
And I love when we come on and I see that up there, because people got to understand the context of that statement. We use it as, I know the plans, or I know the thoughts that I think thoughts of peace, not even hope and expecting it. But we got to understand what was actually being said. Yeah. What happened in that situation was Jeremiah was the one that was selected. The narrative is true, Jeremiah was the one that was selected to be the vessel that would be the voice of God for not just Israel, but for the nations. He said, I'm going to put you over nations and kingdoms. And so we got to remember that the children of Israel at this time was in captivity by Babylon again.
Yes.
All right. And so what happened, the Lord had already said that they were going to be in captivity for 70 years. All right. There was another prophet that came forth and started telling the people that the Lord was about to deliver them now, that they were going to be delivered and set free. And so Jeremiah had to rise up against this prophet and tell him that is not what the Lord said.
That's right.
The Lord said, you will be in captivity for 70 years. So I'm not going to deliver you now. I'm not going. And he had all of the people thinking that God was going to move now and set them free. He said, no, after 70 years. And that's when Jeremiah had mentioned this verse here.
Yes.
I know the thoughts that I think towards you because this other prophet was lying to you. All right. I know the thoughts that I think towards you, thoughts of peace and not of evil. You're in captivity, but it's not to what? Harm you or hurt you.
Yes, yes.
Because I know what I have planned. And you will have, like in the King James, an expected end. Everybody understand, expected means I've already know what's going to happen and already the name what's going to happen before all of this started.
Exactly.
And that's why I know what's going on. We can use this. God knows exactly the plans that he has in store for us. There are things that has to happen to correct everything.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And be in alignment with what God has ordained, and we will experience whatever God has expected for us.
Well said. And we're going to end on that note because we've been 16 minutes over time, 18 minutes over time. But where does the time go? We've enjoyed our conversation once again with Pastor Norman. Thank you, Pastor Norman, for coming on, and Dad for injecting his. He's busy again.
And next time you got to have peanut butter cookies for everybody.
Yeah, I got some. I got some ready for you.
We thank you for your support, financial support, and your participation tonight, to staying and hanging there with us. We will be back on Sunday, Lord willing, nothing happens, at 10 a.m. on YouTube and on Facebook for Cornerstone. And Pastor Norman, if you're feeling good, I know he's going to be back on Sunday morning at 9.
Yes, I shall feel good.
Tell your lovely wife we said hello, and we're going to take off right here. We love you guys and see you next time.
Love y'all. Be